Did you already look over the question?
No.
Okay. Tag team is the end.
All right. All right. I think we are up and going. Welcome to Tyson Storehouse Education Center, our first webinar of 2020. It's been
2022.
2022.
I mean, you all right?
Oh, Lord, this pandemic. Ooh,
Everything the pandemic fault. It's cool.
this
It is.
personal pan pizza.
Yes.
This,
Yes. Right.
But we're in a different location, everybody. We're in the dungeon. But before we begin, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor, social media sponsor, hashtag Black Creatives. So tonight we are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on hashtag Black Creatives Twitter page. So this is, again, my name's Torrance. This is Leslie. I guess I should update that so we can put your name in there.
Right, and probably tell people who we are.
Yeah, well, go ahead then, director.
So everybody, hi, hello. I hope everybody had a great week. We're gonna jump into it here in just a minute, but I just wanted to let everybody know for new viewers and for old because we haven't been on. Me and Ray have been we've been MIA for a minute.
Sabbatical.
Yeah, but we back. I am Leslie Best. I'm the director of health services at Tyson Storehouse Education Center. I've been with Tyson Storehouse since the beginning. So I've seen it grow. I've seen Tasha grow. I mean, it's just a wonderful, wonderful nonprofit. So I'm excited to be here. Definitely excited to talk about this topic because it's needed, so very needed. So,
all right. Well, before we continue, just want to let everybody know that tonight we do have some panelists. I'm gonna go ahead and bring them in. And we got one that is in the island, so he having a good time. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. I think you guys are seeing the same way I am, so I'll start with you, Demario. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
All right, I'm Demario Dixon. Most people call me Rio for short. I'm a Black king. I'm a business owner. I'm a mental dynamic coach where I help people, athletes, people, the youth, to go through that change of progression, in a mixed of.
Gotcha. You're labeled as chill like peace, so
yes, sir.
I want you to tell me, introduce yourselves, or introduce yourself. I'm sorry, and let us know who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Okay, cool. Chill like peace. I'm a musician, producer, creator. I'm a father. Regular, easygoing guy. Military background. What else can I say about myself? I love people. I like the arts, so it's about me. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
Gotcha. We got Erskine. He is having a little bit of trouble. Like I said, he's on the island, trying to come in. But we'll go ahead and get started. So, Leslie, what question do we want to start with? And before we get started with the questions tonight, we're going to go through a series of questions, but we're going to have serious, real conversation as men, right? From different backgrounds. A little bit about myself. I am a father of two, husband, anniversary coming up this Sunday of 12 years.
Right.
Business coach, federal contractor, COO of two companies, CTO of another. So just, the list goes on and on. But, I enjoy helping people get, business owners understand what's going on. You know, a lot of times we don't. Oh, there's Erskine. We don't take the time to get the fine details of things. So um, that's what the coaching part is. Erskine, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was having some technical. I don't know if it was my side or your side. I don't know what it was, but I had to keep coming in and coming out. But I'm here.
It's all right. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. I gotta step out real quick.
Okay. Hey, everybody. How you guys doing? My name is Erskine Alexander, and I'm a mental health clinician based out of New York City, certified in the state of Connecticut as well. Over 23 years of practice, 21 years, I'm sorry, 21 years of practice, 23 years living in New York. Graduate of Morris Brown College in Atlanta, graduate of Columbia University School of Social Work Psychology here in New York City. Well, in New York City. I'm not in New York now. And I'm also an actor with 3 movie credits, also 2 television show credits as well. And father of a beautiful almost 14-year-old, being married this year with my lovely wife Sabrina, going on 17 years. Been together a total of 20 years, and just enjoying life. Just enjoying life. One of the things that we've learned, especially as mental health clinicians, our jobs really went into high demand with COVID. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's almost like when you look at how hip hop used to be back in the day, and everybody was representing New York, and now it's switched over to Atlanta, and everybody's representing Atlanta. Well, that's kind of how it is with mental health now. Back in the day, everybody used to say you should be a lawyer, you should be a doctor, but now with the pandemic and what has happened and how it has affected people, mental health is in high demand across the board. So it's a beautiful thing to see. I feel there being more awareness to our field and our line of work, because for years it was always a taboo. Well, listen, I ain't gonna go see no therapist because they think I'm crazy. Right. And it's so good that African American, especially men of color, they're decided to go for mental health services. So that's my. I'm a pretty busy guy, I must say. Thanks to the pandemic, I guess you could say, and with what's going on with the pandemic and the events of the world, we're going to be in high demand for a long time. So that's my story.
That's wonderful, wonderful, and that's one of the reasons that we are doing. Last year, I had 2 webinars geared to mental health, and it was, I think that was one of the most watched webinars of the whole series that I was doing. So it is definitely in high demand. And I'm so glad that we're talking about it as Black people, as a community, especially focusing on our men, because there are very unique issues that you guys deal with. Right. And like I said, I'm kind of just here as the moderator. Definitely won't be speaking for you guys or put my 2 cents in as a woman. I would not do any of that. I am just here to moderate. So we're going to get into it if that's okay with you all.
Let's roll.
Absolutely.
So let's just go on just the first topic. Just kind of want to get a global view of what you guys think about mental health. Do you believe that Black men's mental health is more complex than what statistics or clinical diagnoses say? Do you think it's more complex? And if you do, why? Let's go with you, Rio.
I do. Simply because it's so underlined in a sense of like a lot of people you hear so much of you will be fine. It's nothing. It's get over it. Be a man. And so it's all those statements of that saying is like the stigma of as a man, you hearing that is like, okay, dang. And it's from people that you may look up to, a father figure, a mentor, and they telling you these statements, you like, but it's something really wrong with me, right. And so a lot of people don't understand that as a man, you go through these trials and tribulations every day. So I kind of go with the saying, I tell, other men, embody your existence. And that just simply mean accept and connect with the present moment. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that
Mm-hmm.
what that present moment is. What does that present moment look like, feel like? And then you just start, you go from there. So that's my saying.
Wow.
That's what I do. Embody your
Wow.
existence.
Right. What about you, Chill Like Peace? Or can I?
Um,
Do I need to call you that? Do I need to
you
call
can
you
call me
that?
Chill. You can call me Chill. That's
Chill.
cool.
Okay, got
You
it.
can call me
Okay.
Chill.
What
So,
about you?
I believe that mental health is important. I feel like the statistics, like Damari was saying, like it's really no help, no structure, no guidance for Black men. I feel like a lot of people. I know I can speak for myself. Even just knowing about mental health awareness, I didn't even start hearing that phrase a lot till recently as an adult. Being a father and a husband, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I feel like spreading awareness is very needed a lot more. And I feel like, of course, the statistics aren't hitting it on the nail. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
Mhm.
more and more people are affected by it and might not even be knowing they're affected by it. I could just speak on my friends alone. You know what I mean? So
Right.
Right.
that's how I feel.
Right. Before Erskine, before we get to you, we got another guest that just joined, G Day. Um, Tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself. I know you had some trouble getting in, but we got you in. So just give us a quick intro. Um,
Oh yes. Good evening, everybody, and hi, gentlemen. My name is Jide, Nigerian descent. I'm a physician, family medicine, but I work more as a physician informaticist in the world of electronic medical records, rollout and provider optimization work. Um, I have been married 14 years. I am a father to two children, a girl and a boy. Um, I met Tasha maybe some 7, 8 years ago. Um, and it's just a privilege to be here. This, what we're discussing today, is just, right up the experience every one of us or each one of us goes through literally on a daily basis.
Mhm.
And I believe we will do a lot more, reaching out this way and every other way, um, you know, just by putting it out there, so
Right.
that people can, can hone in and to things that we're doing. Hey, so I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. That's awesome. Erskine, I don't know if you remember the question, but do you do? Okay. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what has happened with mental health, and especially with Black men, is being more heightened. And what I mean by that is that, like the first gentleman, I'm so sorry, Mr. Rio, like he said, there was always the statement, you're a man, you're not supposed to cry, man up, suck it up, keep it pushing. But I think as men, we don't have to be that way. We don't have to be that way. It's okay to cry. It's okay to express your feelings. It doesn't make you less than a man when you
Mm-hmm.
express your feelings. We go to the barbershop and we express our feelings, and we talk about certain things around our boys and stuff like that. I think the biggest fear has always been we don't want to be judged.
Right.
We don't want to be judged. Oh, if I say that I cried over this, it makes me soft. Or if I speak on this, this makes me soft. And in actuality, that's not the case, because the mistake that we make is that when we choose not to discuss those issues, it tends to stack up.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a behavior that could possibly come out of just of all those things being stacked up. So I think with the pandemic, I think with what has happened during the pandemic, we were forced to really say, okay, enough is enough. We got to do something about this. Whether you're a husband, whether you're a father, whether you're, whether you're a professional. I have clients, just to give you guys an example, I have clients that are African American, but they work primarily in white corporations. And when the thing happened with George Floyd and the thing that happened on January 6th, there was a lot of anxiety that came about. You know what I mean? It was so much anxiety that came about. And I had gentlemen that actually decided to go into therapy because the anxiety got so high. You
Mm-hmm.
Right.
know, people were like, listen, I need someone to talk to, because you can't have these discussions at your quote unquote corporate America job if you're working with a bunch of white people. Not saying they don't get it, but it hits totally different for us as Black men. And so it's good to see that more people are reaching out for mental health as far as like Black men. I want to throw one more piece in there by saying, as African Americans, kind of like what Rio was saying, when you had a problem, you go to church. You go to church. Black, if you got a problem, just go to church. If you got a problem, praise the Lord, whatever. But guess what? What happened with the pandemic? Churches were closed.
Yeah.
They were closed. So at this point, you had no other choice but to say, you know what? The problem is still there. The issue is still there. I got to go see somebody because we got to figure this out. So we were really forced to address it. So it's good to see that there's more mental health awareness amongst not just Black men, but just African Americans in general.
Right. Just to even piggyback off that, one thing that, especially in my coaching, I do, and it was from a book, Brene Brown, Dare to Lead. She summed it up. What we need more of in our community is vulnerability, especially with Black men. I think we've been taught fortitude for so long that we're fortifying in the wrong thing, and I always compare it to water. Being from South Georgia, way in the country, I won't even describe the city, or the town. Don't, before you can say anything.
No judgment.
You judge it. We have a lot of ponds, right? And ponds don't have moving water. So something as pure as water, if it sits stagnated for so long, country people call it fever, but it builds up algae, it becomes poisonous, right? And that's what we're doing with our feelings if we don't talk about it. It's just sitting there, and it's becoming toxic to us, so we don't have that vulnerability yet. Nothing's quote unquote getting in, but it's not going out and it's poisoning us. So I definitely agree, like therapy, breaking these cultural norms for us now as Black men, it has to stop, and we don't have to go so far left with it that you're crying about everything, but you can have emotion, you can have feelings other than macho or toughness. It's so necessary.
In a little bit, I want to talk about how we get there. How do we get there? And I'm hearing Erskine when he said, sometimes you guys have a safe haven at the barbershop, or you can talk to your boys or whatever. But when you said, Erskine, that you don't want to look soft, you don't want to be judged by whom? Who if you got your boys at the barbershop and you got your clothes on, who are you? And when I say you, please know I don't mean each of you. I'm just speaking as in general.
Right.
Who are you afraid to be judged by?
Well, I think there's still a certain amount of the conversation that goes limited, even when you're talking to your boys.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, like you can tell your boys, well, you know what, my wife doesn't do this, but you may not go into full detail about what she doesn't do.
Yeah.
Or that, so that's where a lot of that comes about. It's the fear of being judged. My wife, for example, she's a financial advisor, she's a financial coach, and what she's learning now is about the mental health component and how it impacts relationships. Well, when your finances are not in order, there's a level of frustration, there's a level of depression, there's a level of anxiety, and that's going to automatically create some kind of something within the relationship. So if you're embarrassed about how much money you make or whatever, that's a trigger in itself for someone to be going through, as far as like having anxiety or having depression or whatever, or being frustrated with each other. So yeah.
Doctor, let me ask you, and I'm sorry, tell me your name.
Dr. Jade.
Dr. Jade. Okay, I can't see that far. Sorry. So, Dr.
I'm here to help.
That was a jab.
It wasn't.
Dr. Jade. So let me ask you, because this is one of the topics, or not topics, but one of the little points that was pointed out in one of our questions was there was some implicit bias on the part of medical providers when it comes to Black people seeking out mental health, Black people being crazy. Is there a certain bias that you see in your field when it comes to this?
Thank you very much. So I'm going to first start with what Ernst said. Just add a little bit to that. A lot of us, we come from very traditional patriarchal type family settings, where it's a lot of responsibility on the men to be, you are a protector, you're a provider, you're not allowed to appear weak in any
Right.
way.
That's heavy. Right.
You're
Right.
supposed to make it all happen. And whether you've broken out of that mold or not, we still find ourselves still living it one way or the other. You're going through a lot of stress. You have your support system there, your family, your wife, or whatever, but you're still not voicing out because somewhat you feel you don't want to burden them, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. I could be like that, just internalize everything. And to the example given, you're just like a pond. Things are growing in there and it becomes toxic. You know,
Right. It's
one
very
day,
heavy.
yeah, one day, you explode because you just had it all the way to the top and it explodes. And then
Right.
everybody goes, he's crazy. Okay. Or something is wrong with it, or something like that. And I think this is where support system, is extremely important, and your
So
support
important.
system making you feel that you're safe.
Yeah.
You're safe here, either to let go of your emotions or to let go of your concerns or whatnot. But
Right.
to the question in the medical field, obviously that's just the truth, whether we like it or not. There is some bias. Definitely there is. And unfortunately, we do not have a critical mass of healthcare providers. Note I did not just say doctors. We don't have a critical mass of healthcare providers to cater to the need.
So true.
WHO, World Health Organization, defines that health is not just the absence of diseases, but a state of physical, mental, social, psychological, well-being,
Absolutely.
everything total. So when we find ourselves, you need to seek care in whatever direction. We don't have enough people that can truly understand everything about you
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
administering care to you. And
Right.
that is one of the problems that we're having. I belong to a couple of groups, of Black men in medicine, young Black American doctors, and things like that, where people are trying to bring forth that awareness and sort of encourage younger people to toe the line of, going into healthcare, so that we can provide a critical mass of healthcare providers that can serve the community. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
again, the most important part is not just prescribing medications, but seeing
Yes.
you beyond that.
Right. It's very
Those
holistic. Yes,
yeah,
it is. It's very. I completely agree with that. It's such a holistic approach
Right.
when because you can't. You gotta, and that we're not doing that in healthcare. We're just not. And like you said, we don't have the manpower in place to make sure we take care of all of that. But let's move on.
Well, I was going to even add on to that, like Erskine, what you were saying, where you have a lot of people coming to you. Um, what I've faced in the past 5, 10 years, starting with Colin Kaepernick, right?
Oh yeah.
I was refereeing and I retired from being a referee, football and basketball, but I was in a football meeting and, his name came up and a white guy was like, I hope he never get a job. And I simply asked why. We had a 2 hour conversation after. And I didn't go into it with anger. I just wanted to know why he felt that way. And it's a lot of things driven by the media, of course, and we
Mhm.
can we
Yeah,
can have a whole conversation about that.
that'd be the biggest thing.
What I'm finding is our white counterparts they truly don't know what we go through. Like I even gave a story coming from y'all's hometown, Erskine. Eric and I was coming from Columbus, got pulled over in Tarleton. It was nighttime. I didn't do anything wrong. I just had one of my lights were out on the low beam. He pulled me over, didn't get a ticket, didn't get harassed or anything, but I asked for permission to get out of the car. Right. And it was from what I was taught. Like, I have to make the police officer comfortable. Like, anytime a police officer, I get pulled over and the cop comes to the car, it's already a level of respect, but I got driver's license and registration in my hand. So I'm not digging for something, right? So I can get home. And, people don't understand that because you don't have those relationships. I think Muhammad Ali said it in an interview. I forget who the white guy interviewing, but he was like, it's 1,000 snakes coming through the door and 100 of them mean me no harm. You expect me to let all of them through just for that 100, right? So that's kind of where we are in America, and we don't know, right? So in healthcare, we're dealing with this, which kind of further fortifies the bad stigma around mental health, right? Because you can't go to therapy because you don't want to really talk to a white person who don't get it. And Dr. Jade, I think you put it very well that we don't have a lot of people in health that looks like us to understand us, right? So it's kind of, we're in a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation.
It's definitely touching on racial battle fatigue, what
Right.
Natasha pointed out in her formal questioning and thoughts and little topics that we're going to touch on. For the sake of time, I know that I won't say I know, but you're all Black men, and I know I'm pretty sure that you probably all have encountered this type of racial battle fatigue that Ray was talking about, even making the cops feel comfortable, making sure you don't, look too hood or too ghetto, or,
Right.
making sure everybody understands that you're a professional, going that extra mile. I know you've all been there.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But I want to talk about quickly, a couple of you said something about, you don't want to be soft, be a man, man up. What exactly does that mean to you? And I want you to break it down for me, all the ladies that's listening. I know if you talk to another brother, they don't get it, but break it down and make me get it. What does it mean when somebody says man up? What does that mean to you?
Well, I'm a statement guy, right? So it's like statements or quotes kind of get my brain to break down who am I, what I bring to the table. So by you asking that, the first thing I thought of, not me. That's the first thing I thought of. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when people, oh man, you soft or you crying, man, it's okay. She'll come back or go get another one or just and it just brings me back to that of my upbringing with struggling with reading and writing, right? To the point to where I was so petrified to speak because I knew the words would come out wrong. And so that questioned my subconscious of like, okay, man, look here. You soft, like you get this. So, failing tests and all these things. And it just lowered my self-esteem, my identity, who I was, where I come from, what I stand for.
Mm-hmm.
And it just basically like a quote I always tell myself, fear of understanding can cause the fear of becoming. So we fear of, becoming this because somebody saying, oh, you this, you that, whatever. So it's kind of like the fear of saying, okay, I can't be vulnerable in this moment. I can tell. It's kind of like when they say behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. So when we go in the public, it's different when we're doing it behind closed doors. So I kind of live that life of whatever I do in public, I try to do in private. Not saying I'm perfect, but I want to be so true to where I have these principles that I tell myself. I look at my board, starting with I am, and then whatever comes out of that, I say that. The operate from within, power of self, power of mindfulness. And then I end it with embody your existence, like I said earlier, because if you start with I am DeMario Rio Dixon, then nobody else can tell me anything different.
Right.
Even if you can, even if you say, no, it's spelled this way, it's not with a capital M. Okay, that's you, but I know who I am. And then I always with, okay, I'm in this, just like we having this moment, I'm embodying, sharing this panel with you guys because it's the existence, this the now. Like 701 today won't be, it'll be tomorrow.
Right.
So, like I said, it's just about overcoming that fear of whatever that is.
Exactly. Jill, what do you think it means when people say man up or be a man?
For me, I feel like man up more so. Let me see. I feel like if somebody's telling somebody, hey, yo, you need to man up, and the person that the person's telling, it feels some way by that being said to them, I feel like it kind of may shed light on their insecurities in a way that they might not have already handled or strong enough to handle at that time. So I feel like if people are more, confident with themselves and who they are, being told to man up wouldn't affect you. You know what I'm saying? Or if being, and I feel like that can play a role in someone's mental health as well. Just having that self-confidence, that self-love, that self within, knowing that, hey, even if Rio say, hey, your shirt, that tie-dye shirt ugly, you feel me? Like I still know within myself that, hey, I like this shirt. This is my shirt. I feel good when I walk out the door. Can't nobody tell me different. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel on that.
So is it safe to say, Erskine and Dr. Jade, I'm gonna kind of combine you guys. Is it safe to say that man up entails being strong, being tough, get over it, take it? Is it safe to say that's what it embodies?
Kind of like deal with it, move on, keep going, like
suck it up.
Suck it up, yeah. Suck it up, yeah.
That's kind of what. And do you receive it that way? If someone were to say, all of you, if someone were to say, "Man up," do you receive it that way? Like, let me shake it off. Let me get myself together. Like, do you perceive it that way?
Well, I think it depends on the setting.
Absolutely.
It definitely depends on the setting completely. For some guys, if a woman is telling you to man up, depending on your confidence level, that could be shattering for a man. Wow. That could be extremely shattering. Now,
women.
Yeah, it could be very shattering, and I'm going to kind of go there, so I'm going to ruffle the feathers a little bit, and this is all based on research. All based on research. So everything that I'm saying, I'm not making it up. You can Google it. It's such a high. I love reality TV. I do. I think it's comical sometimes. I think it's entertaining sometimes. However, in the recent years, and research will tell you guys this, it's put an intense amount of pressure on men to feel like they have to be making NFL money or NBA money or rapper money or whatever, and so guys feel that way. Because the women say, "Oh, I want to take the vacations," and "Oh, I want to be able to go out with my girls," and "Oh, I want to go out and drive the nice car," and all this and this and that. Well, in actuality, everybody's not making NBA money or NFL money or rapper money. But I think it's the picture that's being painted that makes women feel like that's the real life and that's how it should be, and then you have guys that feel like they have to measure up to that, or it's being pressured on them to do that. So when you say the man up part, they can say, well, you know what, if you don't got the right job, you need to get another job. You need to man up and get another job. Like I said, depending on the setting that it's in and depending on who it's coming from, can be very painful. Now, if I go to the gym with you guys and I'm doing pull-ups and and Rio says, "Come on, man up, come on, let's go. That hits different.
Right.
That hits
Motivation.
different.
Yeah.
That's motivation. That's
Yeah,
that's motivation.
That makes a lot of sense.
And
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think what has happened, traditionally speaking, coming from slavery, coming from, sharecropping, all these traumatic things, and Dr. JJ, you spoke on this of being a provider. That term "man up" was for motivation, but it carried on into disruptive or dysfunctional settings.
Exactly.
Where we've been so conditioned to push past trauma to keep pushing forward, not dealing with it. Like my grandfather was born in 1918, and I remember I was playing baseball. Something in my knee, I still don't know what it was. Never went to the doctor, but it swelled up. I was on the sofa, and he was like, "Well, what you doing on that sofa? Man up!" And I'm like 9 or 10.
Right.
It really hurt.
My knee is literally swollen.
Looking like somebody's forehead.
Right. But it's definitely one of those things I think that has carried on, and we see it in households like somebody's parents raised them this way, so they're raising their children this way. It's not healthy at all, but that's all. That's all they know.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I just wanted to, like I said, I just wanted to piggyback on that statement of what Torrance was saying is that it's being passed down from generation to generation to generation.
That is key.
And that's the key. That's the thing that makes it a bigger challenge. And the reason why I make that statement is because you have guys where it's there's an intense amount of pressure to maybe be something or portray something that they're not, based on the history or what they were taught from their family members or grandfathers, whoever, fathers, whatever. So it's good to see those discussions now taking place in therapy. It's good to see men being more open to saying, listen, I can't do it, because it's okay. It's okay. My definition of working out may be different than yours. The goal is to make sure we're both in good health. Whether you do it your way, I do it my way. The goal is to make sure you're in good health. But you have people that say, "Oh no, you need to do it this way," because that's how it was passed on previously. Right. So,
what I'm hearing also is that it's showing. Just listening to you guys, let me just put a little side note. I love talking to men. Let me just say, I love it. It is such a clarifying thing to do for women. Because if you listen to men, especially Black men, if you listen, you guys tell us everything we need to know. If we just listen.
Yeah.
And which we don't. I won't even really get into that. I'm hold to that.
See, I love her. I love her.
Because I know we can be a lot. But just saying, I love that. And what I'm getting from hearing this conversation is how everybody has a responsibility. Parents, wife, grandparent, kid, everybody has a role to play in the health and betterment of our men.
For sure.
So let me just say, I commend you guys for being here.
I want to do this next one.
Yes, go.
So, microaggressions that we as men, so we're going to give the world.
Tell the people what microaggression is before you get into it.
So the microaggression of, well, hold on, I'm gonna tell them. But okay. What I want us to give the world a peek at what we have to deal with. Sometimes while we have to wear the dual mask, but the microaggression of little sly racial undertone comments of you talk white or so well, or right. As a Black man, I even had this on the court refereeing, somebody told me, "You're not black. You don't act like," because I was like, "Well, who is? You don't act like this person or this person. You and this other person act white." So just will Dr. Jade give us a just a little sample of that.
All right. One of the ones I hear often is, "Oh wow, you're so smart," and I go, "I'm not supposed to be."
Right.
Right.
Right? You hear
Right.
that all the time. It's like people expect you to be a certain way,
Right.
or expect you not to be a certain way that you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even more importantly, we constantly have to do more to prove that we belong here,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
irrespective of what industry we are. We constantly have to do more to show that we also belong here, and whether we like it or not, um, you have to go get that opportunity. you know it's strange when people say don't bring children into this consciousness, but it is the reality.
Right.
Right.
so
Absolutely.
Right.
so
How do you not?
And
yeah.
and
Oh, sorry. so,
no,
so,
no,
so,
no.
so when I tell my kids that anything, and it's not putting unnecessary pressure on them, but just letting them know the reality of what's out there
Mhm.
is, you have to constantly aim at a certain grade. Um, and it has happened to my kids. They've seen it where they have to literally get perfect grades to be in school council.
Right.
But the next door neighbor, who is also in school council, is has constant C's. But I say just take a close look. You're quite different. Um, but that's the so we it's getting into that reality and into that consciousness. So dealing with that microaggression, sometimes I turn it into a joke, turn it right back on
Mm-hmm.
the person, you know, like turn and say, what does white sound like, or what am I supposed to,
Right.
So exactly, you're so smart. Oh, you didn't expect that I'll be, you know,
Right.
things like that.
Like a joke, but not a joke.
A
Right.
joke,
Right.
another joke.
Right.
Exactly.
Like,
Right. Right.
Right.
yeah, that's important to do because
Right.
if we just say, if someone said, "Oh, you're so smart," or "You're so articulate," saying thank you kind of kills it. You need to have that conversation with the people that are saying it. You need to help them call themselves out.
But
So if
it's
you ask them, it makes them have to answer what you mean by that.
but it's a fine line because we as black men, and I want somebody to, if you had to deal with this, we can't necessarily deal with it the way we want because
There
we'll
you go.
be angry.
You're right.
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 Absolutely.
You have to
I
definitely
mean, that's
take.
real.
You have to take a very very delicate approach with that.
That's why it has to be a joke, right?
Yeah.
Everybody laughs about it,
Right. Like
but they get the message.
I've had someone tell me, just for the record, this goes back to what we were saying earlier about it not being a lot of African American men in the line of mental health. I work with two clinicians in private practice for New York City and the state of Connecticut, and I am the only married black male father clinician on the team, both of those teams,
Wow.
as well as the hospital. I'm the only black male clinician upstairs
Wow.
in the office. And, one of my colleagues, he's a white guy, and he asked me, he said, when you come in, when I come to work, I mean, we black, I like to get sharp. I throw that shirt and tie on, a bow tie game and everything. That's just me taking pride in my appearance, me taking pride in being a professional, and me taking pride in just looking good, because that's for my self-esteem. So he asked me one day, he said, well, why do you dress up all the time? Well, the difference between he and I is if I wore what he wore to work, there would be a problem.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So true.
They would think, is he not doing so well?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is he having problems at home in his marriage?
Yeah.
You know,
He's sleeping in his car.
he's
Right.
sleeping in his car.
Right.
That would be the first question. He and his wife must be having problems.
Exactly.
So you kind of have to kind of brush it off, but that goes back to the confidence that you have within yourself
Well,
as a man.
you have to have that because
You have to have it.
they mentioned you have to go above and beyond just so you can be normal to
Mhm.
them.
Right.
So
Like,
you're going to keep saying you're going above and beyond. You know, game, bow tie game might just be who you are. But what if it wasn't? What if you feel like that's what you have to do?
Yeah.
well, it is. In actuality, it is.
You know what I mean? And it takes all of these topics are just intertwined because now it's back to racial battle fatigue. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
So when you get into it, and we're gonna move on down quickly. When you get into it, we really dealing with, and I know Erskine, you can you probably seen a lot of this, but depression is huge in our community.
Oh,
I am not a mental health nurse. I'm a cardiac nurse, but I do know I have a passion for Black men, Black people, period, but especially Black men. So when I see patients and they, talking about the heart, I'm talking to them about what's going on with them physically. You can just hear, so much fatigue. They're just tired, mentally. They got a lot on them, and now this, it's kind of like that for them. So depression is huge. It is a huge deal. And depression is a clinical diagnosis. It is not something that I can just say, Ray, you depressed today? I mean, you can say that, but Ray can just be down and just sad. But to be clinically diagnosed with depression is a real thing.
Yes.
And a public opinion poll found that 63% of African Americans believe depression was a personal weakness, and only 31% believed it was a health problem. This is sad, and I hate to say it, but I'm almost wanting to be secure in saying that a lot of that comes from our own folks.
Right.
absolutely. I totally get it.
Before, because we got I think we have a nice age gap here. Chill and Rio, Chill, you start. Are you seeing a change in how we look at depression in the community?
I believe so. I believe so. I feel like the awareness is growing. Number one, I think my thing is that having an awareness, even if somebody has depression, I feel like it should be even more of the, okay, like, how are we overcoming the depression? What are we doing to, like, not stay in that state versus even shedding light on the diagnosis? Because I feel like some people, even men, might be afraid to admit that they're depressed or admit that they have depression just because of their friends. Like, going back to what you guys were saying, being called weak, being called, not a man manning up, versus, hey, that's a real thing. That's something that, really can affect, my life, my day-to-day life, you know what I'm saying? And people don't have the awareness. And I feel like conversations like this help a lot, just to see that the word more and more and more, just making other people want to, do their research on themselves and, how to diagnose themselves, and not diagnose themselves, but, hey, like, should I go get checked out? You know what I'm saying? Like, even just that thought alone, should I go get checked out? My dad, he's 50, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like 54, never been to a therapist, you know what I'm saying? He could benefit from it so much, you know what I'm saying? But even just having talks with me on me going to a therapist, and me talking to him, and just opening, like, his what's the word I'm looking for, like horizon to the word, and the awareness to it is like,
exactly, that's a change right there.
Those little things help, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just, okay, boom, like, and like I said, I'm 27, and I didn't pick up on this until about 3 years ago. Well, 4 years, right when my daughter was born, about 4 years ago. So it's like, and I was a young man. It wasn't because it wasn't because someone told me. I had to think to myself, like, dang, maybe I should go get checked out. You know what I'm saying? Just to better help myself and be a better man. You know what I mean? So
right.
That's how I feel.
Rio, what about you?
So it just brings me back to my playing days of football, right? At Morehouse, uh, be just embodying football because, like I said, with the struggle in reading and writing, football helped me cope. It was that one thing that made me feel confident, feel like a man. But then it came to a point where I broke my ankle and I was bed rest for 6 months.
Mm.
When I say bed rest, us as black men, like they said, like we said earlier, is that we got to be the independent, not the dependent. So I literally went from independent to the dependent of I gotta ask mom, I gotta ask girlfriend, I gotta ask brother, I gotta ask all these people. And I found myself not knowing what depression is, not knowing what mental health is, but writing it out. And I started seeing, because I write a lot, I journal a lot. I started seeing myself writing like negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not this. I ain't gonna never this. And then some just hit me and it's like, you know what? If I can just do this, then okay, that's a start. So I just started changing my dialogue within myself, and then that just started helping me. And when I overcame that, I went back and did exceptionally well with football and got an opportunity to go to the pro level, CFL, workout with Green Bay Packers. So it's kind of like I always say, before we reach a solution, we got to understand what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us just want to say, okay, all right, let's deal with it. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is not promised. Like, let's deal with this now. And now it's more, in my generation, it's more visual, like a t-shirt, somebody a post. And they don't have to see a visual face like they send us. They can just be creative, just be creative with it and bring that awareness, and don't know who started that movement. But it's people like us that's frontline and just say, you know what, just throw everything at us and we just gonna give it back to our people, and then we're gonna bring them forth. Even even if my kids, I don't have kids, but even if my kids don't see what I have done, at least I paved the way, and they'll benefit from it. And they ain't gotta see anything I've done, but they're gonna hear. They're gonna be able to see. They're gonna be recordings. There's gonna be so many different things that the modern day technology is gonna do. So when I think depression is just like head on, right? And that's just what it is. It's head on, and it's so many of us brothers. Like now, I don't know any of you guys, but Torrance, I met him years ago at the banquet, the male banquet. But for me to just be on here and be vulnerable and like, hey, chill, G, like that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Not let's like it's time. It's okay. It's depression. Oh, you've been diagnosed with this. All right, now what?
Now what? That's my whole thing. Yeah. Now what?
We good.
Now,
like let's go. Like now what? So
right.
it's like that, and that's what sports teaches you. You can either fail or you can just overcome. I think as a generation, and by other older men coming out and say, "Hey, son, I did this and this and this," and they give us young generation to, hey, okay, I'm not gonna do it that way. I think Inky Johnson said it best. Learn from the mistakes of others because you can't make them all yourself.
Right.
That's what I'm doing. The people before me, I learned from their mistakes. They doing this. They're doing the things that that ain't gonna work. Some things it changed with the world, but some things is just that's the standard.
Right.
So
right. And that was a wonderful segue into us getting, because we're going to try to wrap it up here in just a little bit, breaking down the stigma. So like you're saying, now what? We're talking about it, now what? What are we going to do? So breaking down the stigma involves two approaches. So first, we need to increase the number of culturally competent providers. That's what Dr. Jude was saying. It's just not enough of us. That needs to increase. And also, we need to change the narrative surrounding mental illness. And that's something we can do. That's something we can do right now. That's something we're doing right now. We're trying to change the narrative, making it more comfortable, making it seem more okay to talk to somebody, and just say, I think I'm feeling like I need to speak with someone, and recognizing that, and that's okay. So we need that. And for you guys, and I want each of you to answer quickly, What are your coping strategies and how well do they work for you? Real, we can start.
Yeah.
We'll start with you.
I'm so,
Go for it, brother.
I got to run, unfortunately, after this question, but
Okay.
but I definitely want to say, for me, exercise has been a huge help,
Yeah.
huge help, huge help. Living in New York City where it's fast paced, and when you're used to the fast paced lifestyle, when COVID hit and everything stopped, and New York was actually looking like Alabama, that was kind of a shock for me. That was really, really a shock for me, and just what was going on in the world with the Black Lives Matter, and just seeing what happened with January 6th and knowing what would happen if we tried to do anything of that magnitude. It was so much anxiety. And then the thing that really pushed it over the edge was not being able to see my family,
Absolutely.
not being able to see my brother, not being able to see my sister Erica, not being able to see my mom, my dad. That was a huge challenge for me. I enjoy, being at home with my wife and my kid, and it was kind of cute in the beginning with the whole, oh, I'm working from home, working from home. Yeah, this is great. But after, 1 month turned into 2 months, 2 months turned into 3 months, 4 months turned into 5 months, 6 months turned into 7 months, it became a huge challenge for me. So I have a friend of mine, and he now lives in Florida. He suffers from anxiety, but he works out. He works out and he trains. So he said, listen, Erskine, we got to keep this going. And the gyms, mind you, the gyms were closed. So we were doing push-ups in the middle of the street. We were jogging. We were running, doing pull-ups. He had a pull-up bar and all this kind of crazy stuff. So once I would get done working out, it made me feel a whole lot better mentally. It also had me also understand the importance of appreciating family. I got a chance to, spend time with my wife and daughter because, I was doing television really heavy at that time. And, between the television work and between my job as a clinician, both of them were intertwined at the same time. And it became a challenge when at the hospital we could not travel because that could have been a problem if we tested positive for COVID. Well, with television, you're under contract. You sign a contract and you're not able to, if you can travel, but if you test positive, that's it. You're flushed from that particular project. So exercising was a huge help for me. It was a huge, huge, huge help.
Well, I know you got to go. Appreciate the
Thank you
time.
so much.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I truly, truly enjoyed this, and I thank you all so much. And may we continue to push the platform for mental health. May we continue to shine as Black men because we are making phenomenal progress.
Yes.
But the only way we can continue to make that progress is address our mental health, and so we can continue to be the best professionals, be the best fathers, be the best friends, be the best husbands we could be. So thank you all again for inviting me on to your amazing show, and I hope to come back again.
Yes, we'll be reaching out.
Yes.
Okay, I'll be ready. Well, you guys have a great night, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Enjoy the island.
Bye, Erskine.
Rio, what about you? What's your coping mechanism?
Well, working out, of course, but I have this composition book, right, that I started about 5 years ago, just 50 cent, right? Just went to Walmart or whatever, Dollar General, and I write out my thank yous before the day gets started. Like what I'm thankful for. Like it don't even matter. I don't know what the day's gonna bring, but I always say thank you, whatever. And then I just start when I go back and read, I be saying thank you about the same things, and the things that I want to happen, they manifest just by a simple thank you.
That positivity.
Yeah, just a simple thank you, because I like to get up in the wee hours of the morning, but because it kind of, my mind is like, okay, if I get up at 5 in the morning, I don't think nobody's up, even though people might be up, but it just make me feel like, okay, I got the day under control. So that's one. And I carry this ace in this egg, right? Because I broke down that ace card, and it means accept, connect, and embody. right? So every time I see that card, I gotta, okay, whatever's gonna happen or whatever happened, I accept it, I connect with it, and I embody it. And once I embody it, the eggs mean embody you, grind and grow. And those are some things that I cope with. And recently I just released my own book. So
Okay.
I be in my own book,
Nice.
reading, because I do a lot of reading, because I feel as though by me struggling with reading and writing, I never want to go back to not knowing how. Even though I know how to read now, it's just the fact of, hey, keep going. Ain't no
Right.
looking back. It's keep going. So that's some things that I cope to and just help me just mentally stay maintenance.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to steal that. Thank you.
Right.
That's
Dr. Jade, what about you?
Thank you. Just first for real, I copied those, ace and egg, written it down. Don't be shocked if you see it in a book or something.
Go ahead, good brother. Go ahead. You got it.
But before I even jump into my coping strategies, I wanted to say that, identifying mental health is probably challenging because it starts with insight, right? It starts with the person realizing that there is something. And so more often than not, someone else notices or recognizes that there is something before you feel there is something. So, and this is where the awareness comes, becomes the need for the awareness becomes, more necessary, more stronger, because it's not you being aware whether or not you're depressed or not, but somebody within your community being able to recognize someone who is maybe a little bit off, and can reach out to the person, help them create insight, which then leads to seeking help. That's my thought. My coping strategy for me is just to be outdoors, just go out there, breathe in some air, maybe walk. Sometimes I just get in my yard, get in my front lawn. I'm just there looking at the weed that's grown on the grass, and it feels like, wow, he just wants a perfect lawn. No, really, it's my opportunity to take in some oxygen. It refreshes the body, it refreshes the mind, and it helps me, process things better. And I also wanted to mention that, um, when men are quiet, they're communicating even more.
Wow. Say that again, Dr. Jade.
That's powerful.
When men are quiet, they're communicating even more. So, when, your brother, your friend and stuff, you just notice they just, just quiet. Everybody's talking, they're just quiet. It may not be calling them out, may not be the thing, but just walking to them a little bit more privately and say, talk to me,
Right. That is huge. Right.
Thing. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jade.
Chill. What about you?
I mean, I feel like everybody took everything. I would definitely say, like, working out definitely helps keeping your mind level for sure, getting fresh air, breathing. And even I would say for me, even I could just speak on, like, let's say I'm going to the car. The other day I went to the car and my tire is flat, and I'm on the way to work, and like the old me would probably get so frustrated, like, dang, like my car, I'm trying to get to work, Lord, what's going on? But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I'm just thankful I have a car. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being appreciative of what you do have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't perfect. I ain't no rich millionaire, whatever. But at the same time, like, I'm appreciative, being appreciative for, the life that you live. You know what I'm saying? Just knowing that, okay, boom, like, when we growing up, they always be like, well, it's kids in Africa. You know how they say, you know what I'm saying? Of course, of course it's just a saying, but you know what I'm saying? But just putting in perspective, it's like at the same time, it's like, my life could be worse. You know what I'm saying? I experienced when my life was worse. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like being appreciative of where I am now, even just knowing like, okay, boom, I'm not where I want to be, but I know like I ain't where I used to be. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
for sure. So that I think that helps me cope and just like, you know, like keeping consistent with those coping mechanisms. Cause I know even for me, if I get too comfortable with my workouts and be like, you know what, I'm gonna take this weekend off, you know what I'm saying? Then the weekend trickles into Monday and Tuesday, and then by Wednesday, I might be bugging out, not necessarily going crazy, but I might be letting things get to me that I might normally. But you know, I'll be like, you know what, I ain't worked out in about 5 days, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like that's how I hold myself accountable to keep myself afloat, you know what I'm saying? Because it's definitely easy to sink, especially around a lot of people that's sinking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
so that's those are things that I do. You know, so
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
for sure.
Hey, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, Chill, I feel like everybody's kind of taking everything. But one thing for sure is doing something I don't normally do.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
uh, getting out of the monotony is one thing. Another thing is rest, like going to sleep.
Wow.
Like there is, and being the COO of hashtag Black Creatives, I'm learning so much about the creative process. And there is, I forget her name, but somebody that has an organization called the Nap Ministry, and that's all she preaches is rest, like giving ourselves a rest, like stepping away from social media, stepping away from the TV. And I think Erskine was alluding to this, that a lot of these outside forces help perpetuate and continue the negative forces that keep us depressed, right?
Absolutely.
Because we feel like we're lacking. Chill. I really appreciate you saying flat tire, but saying thank you. I remember one time I was making my 7-year-old just snuck in. But I was making her either dinner or
No.
breakfast, and the plate failed. And instead of getting angry, I said thank you. And all the food didn't hit the floor. I had some leftover food. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, but just saying thank you. Again, doing something that we normally don't do, because it's very easy to Hulk out right then and there and Hulk smash and get angry and take it out, but doing something brand new, and resting our mind, coping mechanisms. Even next month, I'm taking a mini sabbatical. I am going somewhere away from technology for 4 or 5 days. Y'all don't check on me, I'll check in with you. Type of thing.
For sure. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's completely unplugging. Like the pandemic has taken a toll on us. It's brought a lot of things to light, but it's taken a big toll on us, where we were still into watch somebody die over and over and over.
Right.
And finally, some white counterparts are getting it. But it's like this has been happening for so long that you're just now getting it. And we're exhausted. We're tired as men, wearing the dual face at work and having to deal with microaggressions, having to be a provider, and having women not lit up on us, trying to be things that we possibly can't be. And I think a lot of it goes back to, as well, we're looking for heroes in the wrong places, right? Like we're looking at entertainers, we're looking at social media influencers, we're looking at people that's not in the neighborhood. Dr. Jade had a wonderful thing about us being silent as men, speaks volumes. And I think that's where we can start, even if it's a small course, to recognize, or conversations like this. If you see your brother, you see your friend, my friend Charles, my brother, I call him that, says you got a family that you're born with and one that you choose. So your family that you choose or you're born with, if you see somebody off, you don't have to make a big deal, but go to them, like Dr. Jay said, hey, talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if somebody's going at somebody too hard, hey, ease up. You know, and pull them aside. You know, those small things go a long way to men. I know I for me it does, and I can speak conversation after conversation after conversation. You know, I know all of us could share like the traumas, even just this year with my daughter being born and my wife being put on bed rest, and you know, it was just a constant thing, and the 9 to 5, the hustle, the grind, it gets overwhelming. So I know we're slightly over time.
Yeah, but I mean, we're wrapping it up right now. Let me just say to wrap it up, thank you first of all to each of you, Erskine, who already left, each of you, Rio, Chill, Dr. Jude. I hope you guys understand the impact you are having right now in this Ray. I just left him all the way out. But I hope you understand the impact that you are having on the community, on the Black community, our Black men, young and old.
Right.
And I hope you understand what that means. And I know you think we're just discussing, we're just talking, or this is nothing. It is something, because I'm telling you, you are reaching people who probably felt like, you know what, I'm done. I just can't do it. And then you hear Rio, and then you hear Chill, you hear Dr. Today, you hear Erskine and Ray saying, you know what, it's okay, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You know? So I want to thank you for your openness, your honesty, your willingness to participate. I really, really, really appreciate Tyson Storehouse appreciates it as well. And let me just say, when you, and I'm not going to bring too much medical in it, I'm not, but if we can just start, everybody listening, especially our men, if you can just start by getting up, because you know, most of you guys mentioned exercise, our body, God made our bodies that like that. He made it that way. So when we exercise, we release endorphins that make you feel good. That's why you feel good. That's why God made us that way. So get up, move around, like Ray said, and so many of you exercise, start doing things you wouldn't normally do. Get out of that mindset, and most importantly, ask for help. Recognize that that there may be some issues. Recognize that's the first step. And then our now what moment is doing something about it. Reaching out to your friend. And not only those men that are silent, but those men who are overly extra, overly out there, like y'all know laughing at everything, like dude,
Right.
relax. So make sure, and those people they're compensating for something. So just look out for your brothers. And I know y'all do so much. I won't get into that. I keep saying I won't get into the women, but I'm gonna talk to them, y'all.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk to the women. I'm gonna get them straight. I'm gonna get them together for y'all so we can be better at supporting our Black men. So thank you guys so much. Let me just put out there to the atmosphere. If you're looking for a therapist or looking for help, and you want to talk to someone, there is something called therapyforblackmen.org. I think it's great because it helps you find a therapist in your area and your specialization. So if you are specifically looking for something, depression, a Black person that you want to talk to, a specific Black person only, you live in this particular city, you can put all of that in and it will locate somebody for you. It's called therapyforblackmen.org. I think Ray's gonna put it up. So that's for everyone out there who's knowing that you need some help and you just don't know where to go, you don't know where to start. Here, you can start right here. And whatever works for you, talk to somebody. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
Thanks everybody.
So much.
Also, before we go, thanks for our social media sponsor, #Black Creatives.
Thanks, Black Creatives.
Thank y'all so much for sponsoring this and allowing us to use your streaming platform to get it out on Twitter. For everybody out there, you can go to tsec.com or TysonStorehouse.com to find out more information about Tyson Storehouse. I was the first board chair of Tyson Storehouse Education Center, and we just appreciate the support.
Yes.
I know Natasha does, Leslie does, the new chair Lee, and the board members really appreciate the support. Come drop a line on Facebook, or a donation. Small donations go a long way.
Yes.
So just thank everybody for.
And don't forget, guys, check out the website, Tyson Storehouse website as well, like Ray said. But for this month, we are highlighting mental health.
There you go.
So go to the website. We've got video clips, mini video clips of Black women talking about what they have gone through or what they're going through and how they're coping. Next week, we're going to feature mental health and ex-offenders. That is going to be big because they go through so much. They have so much on them in addition to being Black,
right.
Trying to fight that whole system thing. So please tune in for that. Watch out for flyers and posts and things like that. We're going to be doing that next week. But check out the website. You'll get much more information.
All right. Thank y'all again.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see y'all next time.
So nice to meet you all. Hope to meet you all in person one day. So
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Guys, take care. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.